Thank you so much. What do you prefer? Should I speak my natural voice or should I use my? What do you prefer? Natural, right? Okay. Pardon? The mic is a bit distracting. All right. As she said, and I said it earlier on, my name is Sean Emanyanota, and my responsibility today is to introduce the idea of what we'll be doing today. But firstly, I think I'll take a few seconds to explain who I am and the organization, the angle at which I can be able to contribute. I don't think I'm able to contribute much in the aspects of love, per se, but I feel relationships is a broader term that speaks to almost every element. So I've been staying outside the country for almost 6 years, and during that time, what I've been doing, most of my job has been speaking. In 2016, I was ranked the top speaker of the place I was nationally, and I had an opportunity of gracing in front cover. But the subject matter in which I always spoke about is the one that I'm going to speak to you about here. It is the subject of entrepreneurship. It's something that I'm passionate about, it's something that I love, it's something that I've seen the dividends of, and it's something that I feel relationships are most key in. There is a principle which I adhere to when it comes to relationships, and it's in the form of a triangle. Unfortunately, we don't have markers here. But if you want for your own illustrative measures in your mind, you can actually draw a triangle. A triangle has 3 sides, and then that means that there are 3 key aspects to understanding relationships, right? In fact, the whole point is to reach a point which we call opulence, which is a point where you're not only successful, but your success is actually evident and is worthy of celebration. Because you don't want a point of just having a mediocre kind of success. You want a success that is obvious, a success that is deliberate, a success that is unapologetic. So if the whole objective is for us to reach a point of opulence, right, the 3 sides have to be dealt with. The base of the triangle, right, for those that are drawing the triangle, has to do with principles and philosophy, right? Principles and philosophy, right? And then the axis on your left or right, depending on what you prefer, has to do with maximization of opportunities, right? And then on the other side is what we refer to as quality relationships, right? So these 3 aspects are what is going to propel you for you to be able to achieve maximization of whatever goal that you have, okay? So for you to be able to do anything, that's why the base is on, that's why you're here actually. For you to be able to do anything in any direction, you first have to be informed. You need to have principles, and you have to have principles, and you have to have philosophies that govern that specific area that you want to develop, right? So if I want to play football, right, my priority is first I need to understand what are the philosophies and principles that govern football. Who are the prime footballers that have been able to excel well? What govern them? Even the law of gravity takes into play. If I kick the ball high enough, what physics is there for it to govern my principalities and my activities, right? So that is why all of you are here, to get that information from experts like him and her. People that are actually going to be able to give you the appropriate strategic information that when you're going to look for that person that you're eventually going to marry, or when you're going to go into that meeting and they're going to close that deal, you have the adequate principles and philosophies to govern you through. The other axis of the other 2 elements of the triangle, right, are interdependent. As you are increasing, right, as you are increasing altogether, as you are increasing your maximization of opportunities, you have to increase the quality of relationships that you have. It's a law. It's a law. So you find that if you want to perform in a particular way, you have to find yourself in a place with people that are doing specific things, right? So if I want to start being a top seller like himself, right, I have to be able to start playing around areas with fellow speakers, right? Fellow writers, fellow people of a specific skill set. Because if by virtue of being around them, that helps me to actually maximize my opportunities, right? Being here for someone who's intending to build their quality relationships is a form of maximization of the opportunity. Because the people in this room currently are driven by one specific set of goals, right? We want to improve in a specific area of our life, which is relationships. So when you're seated next to the person or seated across next to the person who is having a similar mentality, it then helps you to build that what? That pyramid towards your ultimate goal, which is opulence. Okay? So I'm going to share one last technique that is key, a technique which I spoke for Deloitte when I was given an opportunity to explain to them the strategy of how to be able to prioritize on certain goal-setting skills. It's called the GROW model. The GROW model is a very common model it's called the GROW model, right? It's an acronym. So the GROW model is very popular for strategy, especially in Asian countries, right? You know that Asia is for that go attitude, right? So they use what is called the GROW model. The GROW model is an acronym that stands for, the G stands for your goals, right? The R stands for the reality currently, right? The O speaks for your options, right? And then the W speaks for the way forward, okay? So G is for what? So what?
Goals.
And then the R, and the O, and then the W. Okay. So your goals have to be specific. Obviously, I'm sure you're familiar about the SMART, right? They have to be specific. They have to be measurable. You know, they have to be attainable. They have to be realistic, and they have to be timely. You have to be specific with what is it that you want. So what is your opulence, okay? And our opulences are different based on our feeling that particular time. And opulence could be wanting to get the girlfriend to walk in the street with, right? That could be a point of opulence. That's your goal, right? So if that is your goal, then be obvious about it, be deliberate about it. Don't hide, because most of the time is we want what is universally acceptable, and then we hide what we truly want. That limits our chances of actually getting the thing that we want. So if you want money so that you can be seen driving that expensive car, smelling good, putting on that awesome suit, let that be your goal. Don't be apologetic about it, because that's what's going to drive you, right? With goals, it has to do with your reality. As a model, if your goal is to become Miss World, embrace it, right? So people are going to say, many features, you know, whatever the case may be, Africa. But then, if that's what you want, be deliberate about it. And what happens when you're deliberate about it? You network with people in what? With the quality relationships, you maximize your opportunities, you increase your probability of actually reaching your point of opulence, right? But if I do not know, for example, that he does e-commerce, then I cannot come and present the opportunities that I found out about that industry. So we cannot be able to grow together. So you have to be very deliberate about your goals. Don't be apologetic. If your goal is to be the best rap artist in the continent, that's it, man. Embrace it, that's it, that's your reality. And it's attainable, it is possible, okay? The next part of it is you then have to look at the reality. Now you have to look at right now, okay? What is it that I'm currently doing? Okay. If my goal is to be the best rapper in the world, what am I currently doing? How many times am I spending recording songs? How many times am I spending at the gym? How many times am I spending reading quality books? How bad do I really want it, right? When they say, how many people want to volunteer to do a particular thing, do I stand up and rush because that's what I want? What am I presently doing right now, right? Right now, what am I presently doing that is a reflection of the goal that I've set for myself, right? So this is the part that's most difficult. You have to be real with yourself, because this is where the coach will tell you that you're going to wiggle. What that means is we're going to find these excuses for the reasons why we're not doing the thing that we're doing, okay? So I am not being able to read as much as I want, because most of the times I have to be cooking, right? I'm not able to go out and mingle and meet the right kind of person that I want to, because most of the times I am at work. So whatever excuse that you're putting, my boss always says, every excuse is a lie. If you find yourself making excuses, you're lying. So you have to be able to be very crude on yourself and very honest and say, listen, if I want to buy a Wonder Fit by June 2019, okay, what do I have to start doing today to prepare myself so that I can also be seen? Same, blame road, you know. So what is it that I also have to start doing today? And you have to be real about it. And some of that means you have to sacrifice. If you're spending most of your time watching soaps and all that, right? If you're spending most of your money at special places at night, you have to change your discipline to meet your goals. If that helps you to meet your goals, if spending the whole night dancing in a club brings you closer to getting to your goals, do that. The point is, whatever you're doing should be having what is called congruency with the goal. Is what you're doing directly proportionate to the goal that you want to achieve, right? Then the next part is to do with options, right? Options. You're welcome, man. So options have to do with, in business options, okay, let's talk about business. In business options have to do with risk management, okay? Because we live in a world of uncertainty, right? You do not know that if I approach and say, I love you, she's gonna say, I love you. That's the reality. So options have to do with you being able to do what is called, if you can write this down, scenario planning, right? You have to do scenario planning. You have to do contingency. This can help you a lot of heartbreaks, okay? So scenario planning is a technique that is used by mostly the banking sector when they are assessing if they are going to be eligible to get a loan or not, right? They do the risk assessment. So okay, fine. This fine gentleman that is coming there looking all handsome, right? Speaking confidently, saying that my business trajectories are going to be in this direction, right? How is his previous banking record, okay? Where does he spend most of his time? Okay. The previous businesses that he said they're gonna be like this, how have they been going before? Okay. So they give you a booklet this big. I mean, if you've tried to get along before. I mean, right? So they give you a booklet that's this big, right? Where they make you write a lot of things that you may think are not related to why you just want the money, right? But then they're asking you about how you spent your last weekend, you know? So what they're trying to do is that they set what is called scenario planning. So someone comes and sit down actually and put a set of 4 scenarios, right? And says, okay, in scenario A, we give him the 1,000, he goes and this business goes like, okay? In scenario B, we give him the 1,000 and he goes buys that Honda Fit and this business never starts off, right? In scenario C, he's going to get the money, leaves the country, right? In scenario D, he's going to balance off his business, but then he's going to still be able to balance off. So in order for them to hedge that risk, they do what? They take what's called collateral, okay? So they take what they know that you're going to hold most dear, something that's going to keep you in check for you to actually continuously do the thing that you're supposed to do. Imagine if you to apply that level of discipline in the decision that pertain to your life. Just think about it. Imagine if before you'd go and say that I want to do any particular thing, you took the due diligence to actually look at how the possible outcomes could be. And then you took the necessary contingencies that in the event that this does not happen the way that I thought it would, I still have a safe net. But that does not mean you have to be risk averse. You still have to do those things that are scary. You still have to do those things that are uncertain. You still have to do those things that are impossible. But then you have enough strategy, right, that is able to hedge through. And this always comes with talent, right? For example, my dream is to wake up each morning and then I come and speak before people, right? It's my dream. But in order for me to hedge that dream, I went and I studied international relations and political science, because that's my other passion, right? Understanding how philosophically people think and how, the structured thinking. But when I came back, the reality was there was an opening in the banking sector, in the financial sector. So here I am, a person who would prefer to wake up in the morning and speak to you, right? Having studied politics and actually working in a financial sector. It's all hedging towards my precise dream of eventually achieving my opulence. I know that I'm going to be the best rapper in the entire world. I've got all the confidence. I can stand on a mountain and scream, right? And I know it's going to happen, but I respect process. So what I do is I put a set of scenarios, right? And in all scenarios, I hope for the best, but I understand that in life can be really, allow me to say this, pretty shitty. Can really mean, right? You can plan strategically and things don't unfold the way that you want it, even when you put in the hard work, You can, the day that you bought, especially if you try the transportation business, the day that you buy, it's like spiritual. The day that you buy that car, someone comes and hits it at the back before the car goes in to even bring a cent back. Understand? So life can be that crazy. But then for you to be able to always overcome those obstacles, right? You have to be able to create contingencies. Banks are doing it, big businesses are doing it. It's something that you can actually apply to your own life. My final point, and this is the closing part, You have to find a way forward. And I think most of the people that are here are going to be giving you strategies, moving the way forward. Now you've got your goal, you've seen where you are, you know where to improve, you've got a plan, because part of your contingencies are your plans. Now it's your stepping forward, your actual movement forward. And this is the responsibility that I've left for you and for them to be able to develop. Thank you so much for your time.